Self-Inquiry number 28. Disciple, what is the purport of the teaching that in Pratyahara one should meditate on the Pranava? Master, the purport of prescribing meditation on the Pranava is this. The Pranava is Omkara, consisting of 3.5 matras, A, U, Ma and Ardh Matra. Of these, A stands for the waking state, Vishwajiva, and the gross body. U stands for the dream state, Tejasa Jiva, and the subtle body. Ma stands for the sleep state, Prajna Jiva, and the causal body. The Ardh Matra represents the Turiya, which is the self or I nature. And what is beyond, that is the state of Turiyatita or pure bliss. The fourth state, which is the state of I nature, was referred to in the section on meditation, Dhyana. This has been variously described as of the nature of the Amatra, which includes the 3 matras, as Monakshara, silence label, as Ajapa, as muttering without muttering, and as the Advaita mantra, which is the essence of all mantras such as Panchakshara. In order to get at this true significance, one should meditate on the Pranava. This is meditation which is of the nature of devotion, consisting in reflection on the truth of the self. The fruition of this process is Samadhi, which yields release, which is the state of unsurpassed bliss. The revered Gurus also have said that release is to be gained only by devotion, which is of the nature of reflection on the truth of the self. Self-Inquiry number 29. Disciple, what is the purport of teaching that one should meditate through the I am He thought on the truth that one is not different from the self-luminous reality that shines like a flame? Master, the purport of teaching that one should cultivate the idea that one is not different from the self-luminous reality is this. Scripture defines meditation in these words. In the middle of the 8-petaled heart lotus, which is of the nature of all, and which is referred to as Kailasha, Vaikuntha, and Parampada, there is the reality which is of the size of the thumb, which is dazzling like lightning and which shines like a flame. By meditating on it, a person gains immortality. From this we should know that by such meditation one avoids the defects of the thought of difference, of the form I am different and that is different, the meditation on what is unlimited, the idea that the real is limited and that it is confined to one place. The purport of teaching that one should meditate with the I am He thought is this. Sahaham, Soham. Saha, the Supreme Self, Aham, the Self that is manifest as I. The Jiva, which is the Shiva Linga, resides in the heart lotus, which is its seat situated in the body, which is the city of Brahman. The mind, which is of the nature of egoity, goes outward, identifying itself with the body, etc. Now the mind should be resolved in the heart. That is, the I sense that is placed in the body, etc. should be got rid of. When one thus inquires, who am I, remaining undisturbed in that state, the self-nature becomes manifest in a subtle manner as I. That self-nature is all and yet none, and is manifest as the Supreme Self everywhere. without the distinction of inner and outer, that shines like a flame, as was stated above, signifying the truth I am Brahman. If, without meditating on that as being identical with oneself, one imagines it to be different, ignorance will not leave. Hence, the identity meditation is prescribed. If one meditates for a long time without disturbance on the self ceaselessly with the I am He thought, which is the technique of reflection on the self, the darkness of ignorance which is in the heart and all the impediments which are but the effects of ignorance will be removed, and the plenary wisdom will be gained. If meditation in the form I am Shiva, Shivoham Bhavana, which prevents the thought going outward, is practiced always, Samadhi will come about, as said by Valalar. Thus, realizing the reality in the heart cave, which is in the city of Brahman, which the body is the same as realizing the all-perfect God. In the city with 9 gates, which is the body, the wise one resides at ease. In the city that has 9 false gates, he resides in the form of bliss. Written in Bhagavad Gita. The body is the temple. The Jiva is God or Shiva. If one worships him with the I am He thought, one will gain release. The body, which consists of 5 sheaths, is the cave. The Supreme that resides there is the Lord of the cave. Thus the scriptures declare. Since the self is the reality of all the gods, the meditation on the self, which is oneself, is the greatest of all meditations. All other meditations are included in this. It is for gaining this that the other meditations are prescribed. So if this is gained, the others are not necessary. Knowing oneself is knowing God. Without knowing oneself that meditates, imagining that there is a deity which is different and meditating on it, is compared by the great ones to the act of measuring with one's foot one's own shadow, and to the search for a trivial conch after throwing away a priceless gem that is already in one's possession. Footnote: we shall meditate on that which, existing in the form of self, is the Atma Tattva, is effulgent, and which residing in all living things always says, I. To seek for a God outside, leaving the God residing in the cave of the heart, is like throwing away a priceless gem and searching for a trivial bead, as written in Yoga Vasishta. Self-Inquiry number 30. Disciple: even though the heart and the Brahmarandra alone are the loci fit for meditation, could one meditate, if necessary, on the 6 mystic centers or adharas? The 6 mystic centers, which are said to be loci of meditation, are but products of imagination. All these are meant for beginners in yoga. With reference to meditation on the 6 centers, the Shiva yogins say, God, who is of the nature of the non-dual, plenary, consciousness self, manifests, sustains and resolves us all. It is a great sin to spoil that reality by superimposing on it various names and forms such as Ganapati, Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, Maheshwara, Sadashiva, and the Vedantins declare all those are but imaginations of the mind. Therefore, if one knows oneself, which is of the nature of consciousness that knows everything, one knows everything. The great ones have also said, when that one is known as it is in itself, all that has not been known becomes known. If we who are endowed with various thoughts meditate on God, that is the Self, we would get rid of plurality of thoughts by that one thought, then even that one thought would vanish. This is what is meant by saying that knowing oneself is knowing God. This knowledge is release. Self-inquiry number 31. Disciple, how is one to think of the Self? The Self is self-luminous, without darkness and light, and is the reality which is self-manifest. Therefore, one should not think of it as this or as that. The very thought of thinking will end in bondage. The purport of meditation on the Self is to make the mind take the form of the Self. In the middle of the heart cave, the pure Brahman is directly manifest as the Self in the form I. Can there be greater ignorance than to think of it in manifold ways without knowing it, as aforementioned? Self-inquiry number 32. Disciple, it was stated that Brahman is manifest as the Self in the form I in the heart. To facilitate an understanding of this statement, can it be still further explained? Master, is it not within the experience of all that during deep sleep there is no knowledge whatsoever, neither self-knowledge nor other knowledge? Afterwards, when there is experience of the form I have woken up from sleep, or I have recovered from swoon, is that not a mode of specific knowledge that has arisen from the aforementioned distinctionless state? This specific knowledge is called Vijnana. This Vijnana becomes manifest only as pertaining to either the Self or the not Self, and not by itself. When it pertains to the Self, it is called true knowledge. Knowledge in the form of that mental mode whose object is the Self, or knowledge which has for its content the unitary Self. And when it relates to the not Self, it is called ignorance. The state of this Vijnana, when it pertains to the Self and is manifest as of the form of the Self, is said to be the I manifestation. This manifestation cannot take place as apart from the real, that is the Self. It is this manifestation that serves as the mark for the direct experience of the real. Yet, this by itself cannot constitute the state of being the real. That depending on which this manifestation takes place is the basic reality, which is also called prajna. The Vedantic text Pragnanam Brahma teaches the same truth. Know this as the purport of the scriptures also. The Self, which is self-luminous and the witness of everything, manifests itself as residing in the Vijnana Kosha, sheath of the intellect. By the mental mode which is impartite, seize this Self as your goal and enjoy it as the Self. Self-inquiry number 33. Disciple, what is that which is called the inner worship or worship of the attributeless? Master, in texts such as Ribhu Gita, the worship of the attributeless has been elaborately explained as a separate discipline. Yet all disciplines such as sacrifice, charity, austerity, observance of vows, japa, yoga, puja are in effect modes of meditation of the form I am Brahman. So, in all the modes of disciplines, one should see to it that one does not stray away from the thought I am Brahman. This is the purport of the worship of the attributeless.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva.